A crew of ruthless criminals is hired to kill an influential heiress. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I'm going to recap a 2019 action thriller film called Triple Threat. The movie is about a billionaire's daughter who plans on bringing down a major crime syndicate targeted by a group of professional assassins. A team of mercenaries must stop them before they kill her. So, without further ado, let's find out if the mercenaries would be able to stop the assassins from reaching their target. The movie begins with Xiao Shan arriving in Mahajaya. Shan is a Chinese heiress who is donating her family fortune to wipe out the city's increasing criminal underworld. To ensure the safety of the Chinese residents of Mahajaya, the Chinese embassy collaborates with the local administration and handles crimes targeting the local Chinese community. Upon arrival in Mahajaya, Shan was picked up by a special security team from the Chinese embassy, who would later look after her during her stay. The scene changes to the view of a forest where former Special Forces members Payu from Thailand and Long Fei from China, along with other mercenaries, are going on a humanitarian mission, thereby releasing prisoners held by terrorist groups under the command of Devereaux. Devereaux and his team, on the other hand, have plans to release their leader, Collins, which Payu and Long Fei are completely unaware of. Collins, a captured colleague turned terrorist, is being held in a village-based MI6 detention facility. Devereaux and his crew quickly begin shooting up the village, which was being protected by Indonesian soldiers. Jaka is awakened by the chaos and is horrified to learn that his village has been attacked and that his wife was killed in the incident. In the midst of the confusion, Jaka and Payu confront one another and engage in an intense fight. Mook, one of Devereaux's goons, then throws a grenade at Jaka, knocking him to the ground. Rushing to the MI6 detention facility, Devereaux and his team kill the guards there to release Collins. Soon, Collins is pulled out of a dungeon. Vengeful, the first thing he does is kill the MI6 agent who caught him. Before leaving, they blow up the entire facility and the people in it to avoid leaving any evidence behind. Little do they know that Jaka is still alive. Jaka buries all the dead bodies and gives everyone a proper funeral. After burying the dead body of his beloved wife, Jaka swears to seek revenge on Collins and his team. Back in Mahajaya, Su Feng finds out about Collins' release. Turns out, Su Feng has planned to hire Collins and his team to take care of her criminal objectives. A couple of days later, Jaka learns that Payu and Long Fei are participating in illegal fights at an arena in Mahajaya to survive. Jaka rushes over to the arena where Payu was fighting and observed him. Despite being enraged and seeking revenge, Jaka tries to study Payu's fighting technique as a master of Muay Thai. After Payu defeated his opponent, Jaka bought his way into the fight by paying off a member of the fighting committee. Then, Jaka and Long Fei face one another. Long Fei, a Tai Chi master, can easily stop Jaka's attacks because he is full of anger. Yet, Jaka was able to launch a few incisive follow-up attacks, but eventually, Long Fei overpowered Jaka and won. After the fight, Payu recognized Jaka as the guy from the camp and took him to their home. They take care of a wounded Jaka and gave him food while also explaining what actually happened back at the facility. They reveal that Devereaux was the one who employed Payu and Long Fei. They were informed about a humanitarian mission to free captive civilians held by a band of terrorists. Turns out, Devereaux deceived them, while his actual plan was to release their leader, Collins. Once Collins was released, they were both locked in a cage and left to die. However, just before the bomb went off and completely destroyed the area, Payu and Long Fei were able to escape and free the prisoners. Payu and Long Fei advised Jaka to cooperate because they are both also looking for Collins and his gang. However, after Payu and Long Fei were drunk, Jaka accused them of participating in illegal gambling and reported them both to the police station before leaving. Immediately after being arrested, Payu and Long Fei were taken to the Central Police Department. Jaka then got in touch with Collins' men and told him that Payu and Long Fei had made it through the explosion and were on their way to the Central Police Station. On the other hand, Su Feng has given Collins and his team the order to kill Shan because she was getting in the way of Su Feng's criminal activities in Mahajaya. Su Feng, who has Xian's itinerary, knows that Xian is attending an interview on a television station and will then go to the Chinese embassy. Soon, Collins and his team arrive at the station and attempt to kill Xian. Many bodyguards were killed in this indiscriminate assault incident. Even Madame Liang, the Chinese embassy's head of security, was wounded. Madame Liang then instructed Xian to head to the Central Police Department because that was the only safe place for her right now. Xian somehow managed to escape and rushed to the police station. At this point, Collins and his crew must kill Xian and deal with Payu and Longfei. Soon, they rushed to the Central Police Department to kill Payu and Longfei so that the police would not be informed of what Collins and his crews had done in the forest. In the meantime, Xian arrives at the police station and desperately asks for help, but the police cannot communicate with her due to the language barrier. A policeman then brings Longfei to help them as an interpreter, while Payu was being interrogated in another room. Moments later, Collins and his crew show up at the police station and blindly open fire. So, while Longfei and Payu attempted to protect Xian, they easily took down the police officers. Later, Payu fights with one of Collins' men named Steiner. Longfei helps Xian escape from the chaos. Steiner and Payu fight viciously until Jaka shoots Steiner in the back, killing Steiner. After that, Jaka confesses how he purposefully put Payu and Longfei in jail so that he could get a chance to take revenge on Collins and his crew. Jaka then tells Payu to leave right away with Xian while he deals with Collins' men. Jaka fights Mook and shoots her dead. Once Payu and Longfei are about to leave with Xian, Joy finds them and starts shooting. That's when Payu distracts him and they get a chance to flee. Although Mook and Steiner had been killed, Collins and his henchmen didn't necessarily let the three of them escape. Collins and his crew eventually find Payu, Longfei, and Xian, but they somehow managed to hide away. Collins seemed very angry because he lost track of them. Meanwhile, the Chinese ambassador learns that Xian has vanished and immediately orders a search for her. Su Feng then calls Collins, asking why they couldn't kill Xian. Soon, a police officer surrounds Collins and holds him at gunpoint. But then, Jaka shows up and knocks out the cop. Collins initially mistrusts Jaka. However, he is able to persuade Collins that he is a local mercenary who knows a lot about how things work in Mahajaya and might be able to assist Collins in achieving his objectives. Collins agrees, and the two leave together. Meanwhile, Payu, Longfei, and Xian are hoping to take refuge at the Chinese embassy. On the other hand, Xian had to be captured within 48 hours, per Su Feng's deadline, so Collins and his crew are discussing their next move of action. Jaka suggested they go to the Chinese embassy, because Xian would undoubtedly be taken there by Payu and Longfei. Indeed, one of Collins' men watching the Chinese embassy saw Xian walking towards it. Collins and the others run after them right away. When Payu and the others run into Jaka in the middle of the escape, they notice him giving false information to Collins and his men. Upon confrontation, Jaka reassures them that his enemy is Collins, not them, and requests them to leave immediately. Soon, Collins and the crew arrive at the scene and Devereaux seems suspicious of Jaka. The chase continues until Payu, Longfei, and Xian hide inside the vent of a small restaurant and Collins is unable to spot them. Once Collins leaves, they get down only to find out that they're stuck there for the night. Eventually, they come up with a plan to use Xian as bait to trap Collins and his crew. Later, while traveling to Collins' headquarters, Jaka rethinks about how Devereaux and his men destroyed his village, killed his wife, and ruined his life. Jaka is adamant about getting revenge because he'll never forget these terrible things that happened to him. Later, Collins receives a call from Payu, offering to exchange Xian for $100,000 and their freedom. Payu tells Collins to meet him at the old polo club at dawn. Initially, Collins agrees without hesitation because he was time-bound, but he's aware of the fact that Payu is trying to set him up, so he instructs his team to spend all the remaining funds to kill Payu and Longfei by hiring any available shooters as soon as possible. The next day, Payu visits his old boss who owes him money and convinces him to give them weapons. Collins and his crew arrive ahead of time at the old polo club. along with Jaka and the assassins they had hired. The assassins then hide in different spots and wait for Fur, Payu, and Long Fei to arrive. Later, Long Fei and Xian walk in through the front door while Payu entered through the back door with the weapons. In no time, Payu crippled the shooters one by one. Meanwhile, Jaka handed over the briefcase containing the ransom money, and Long Fei was about to hand over Xian. But before Collins could catch Xian, Payu showed up at the scene and opened fire. In a brutal gunfight, Payu, Long Fei, and Jaka gang up against Collins and his crew. Later, Jaka fights Devereaux unarmed and struggles while Long Fei gets into a fierce fight with Joey. On the other hand, Payu is having a decisive gun battle with Collins. Eventually, Long Fei managed to knock out Joey by smashing a brick on his head. He then helped Jaka, who was on the verge of collapsing. Long Fei and Jaka finally got Devereaux dead by fusing Silat and Tai Chi martial arts. Shortly after, Jaka called the Chinese ambassador and informed him of Xian's location. Meanwhile, Payu and Collins, who had run out of ammunition, engaged in a combative duel using all of their martial arts skills. A vicious 2-on-1 fight breaks out as Jaka tries to help Payu, but Collins appeared to be tough enough for them and repeatedly knocked them both to the ground. Collins then found Xian and made an attempt to shoot her after he was successful in immobilizing Payu and Jaka. To defend Xian, Long Fei jumped directly at the bullets. After finally standing up, Payu challenged Collins to a bare-handed rematch. Despite his best efforts, Collins, a formidable mixed martial artist, was eventually defeated and killed by the Muay Thai master Payu. That's when Joey, who was apparently still alive, suddenly appeared and tried to shoot Payu. However, Xian stopped him in his tracks and shot him dead with a rifle. In the morning, the guards from the Chinese embassy and the police came to pick them up. Madame Liang reveals that Jaka was the one who had told them about their location. Shortly after that, she took Xian to the Chinese embassy. The movie ends with the police finally arresting Su Feng for all her crimes. With that being said, this is it for today's video. Let us know what you thought about the movie in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.